This tutorial we're going to cover creating sidelight frames and borrowed lights, things like that for door and hardware schedules. And we're going to do that using the free program from Sketchup. So to get Sketchup, to get there, just go to your favorite browser, your search engine, and type in free Sketchup. And when that comes up, you should see something like this right here, free 3D modeling software. So we'll click on that. This will bring you to the Sketchup website. And just go ahead and click on Start Modeling. And this is for the free version. Of course, they do have paid versions you can get, but you don't even need them for what we're going to be doing. So we'll click on Start Modeling. And first thing I want you to do is to log in. I've already created an account and everything. So if you don't have an account, go ahead and create an account and get logged in. And when you do, you'll come to this page here, Start Modeling. And this is where we're going to create the frames, or sidelight frames, or whatever you want to create. So first thing we're going to do is get rid of this little character here, because you don't want him showing up in your drawing. So just draw a box. You're going to draw a box with the mouse holding the left mouse button down and just dragging and creating a box around this little guy. And then when you let go of the mouse button, hit the delete key on your keyboard, and he's gone. So when you're working with SketchUp, it's actually a 3D type program. So you have the different axes here. You have this red line, which is the left to right. The green line is the front to back, and this blue line is up and down. So those are the dimensions, or different ways you can go with this drawing. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to create, let's say we're going to create a sidelight frame. It's got a 3-foot door with a 3-foot sidelight. And that means it'll have a 2-inch mullion hinge jamb on one side, a 2-inch mullion, and then a 2-inch blank jamb on the other side. So that's 3 foot plus 3 foot is 6, plus the 2 face jambs, that's 6 feet 6 inches. That's the overall width of this sidelight frame we're going to create. And we're going to use a jamb depth of, say, 5 3/4. You can use anything you want, and I'll show you how this works. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a box, a rectangle. And that's using this little tool right here. So I'll click on that. And I'm going to come down to this line. I'm going to take the pencil. You can see the red box jumped onto the red axis, which is what I want. And I'm just going to draw a rectangle. And I do that by holding the left mouse button down. And I just start dragging the mouse to create a box. Now this was going to be if you were looking at this frame from the overhead, looking down on it, this would be basically the footprint of the frame that we're going to draw. So once I'll create a box, it doesn't matter how big you create it, just draw a rectangle. Let go of the mouse button, and there's a rectangle. Now down here you can see the dimensions. So this is a little bit oversized for what we want. But all I have to do is start typing the dimensions that I do want. And the first one is going to be this length, which is 6 feet 6 inches. And as I type, we're going to do 6 feet, which is, we're going to use the apostrophe for feet, and then 6 inches, which will be the double apostrophe. Then I'm going to type a comma. So that's going to be our length. Now we're going to do the depth. Okay, we're going to comma space, and our jamb depth is going to be 5 3/4 inches. So I'll type 5 space 3/4 inches. So you can see there's my dimensions. Now all I have to do is hit the enter key on the keyboard, and it redraws that box to those dimensions. So it's kind of hard to see it right now. So one thing you can do with your scroll wheel on your mouse is you can use the scroll wheel to zoom in just by moving the mouse in, and of course scrolling back to zoom out. So we want to move in, and we want to pull this down a little bit, because this is going to be the bottom right here. So to move it, we're going to use this icon right here. It's called pan. So click on that, and I'll just drag this down like that. Now, what we want to do now is we're going to come over to this tool right here. It's called Push Pull. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to bring my mouse and then watch what happens to the box as I move the mouse over it. You can see the texture changes. And once I get that change, I'm going to hold my left mouse button down and just drag the mouse, and it comes up. Now, the height of this, let's say we're using a 7-foot door and there's a 2-inch head on top. So it's 7 feet 2 inches. So again, you can see the dimensions here down here now. It's not the right size. So I'm going to type 7 apostrophe 2 inches and then hit the enter key. And there you can see it's drawn our box. Now I want to probably zoom out, so I'll click a little bit with the scroll wheel to kind of zoom out a little bit. Now we need to create the dimensions for the face of the jambs. And to do that, we're going to come down to this tool here. This is the tape measure. So I'll click on that. We'll start on this side, and you can see when I move the mouse, that little blue diamond changes to a red square. And that's what I want. I'm going to hold the mouse button down once and then drag. And when I see a dimension, I want to make sure I'm on the red axis. Now, if I move the mouse up and down, you can see I get different dimensions. I want to come back to where I get this on the red axis. You can see the line is red, so that's the axis I want. If I let go of the mouse, I can type 2 double quotes and hit enter. And now that's a 2-inch space. Now I want to have, let's say there are doors here and our sidelight's going to be over here. So now I need to create the 3-foot door. So I'll move this icon over that line I just created, hold the left mouse button down and start dragging. And I can stop anywhere, and I'm going to type 3 apostrophe, and I don't even need, since it's 0 inches, I can leave it at that. So you can see that down here. I've got, oh, looks like it did inches. Let's go back. Oops, sorry. Apostrophe. So that's going to be 3 feet. I'll hit the enter key on the keyboard, and there's our space for a 3-foot door. Now I want to draw another mullion 2-face jamb here. So I'll get onto this line, drag it, make sure I'm on the red axis again, type 2 inches, hit enter. Now I want to do I can either do a 3-foot space here, or I can start on this side and do a 2-inch face over here. Now it already went to 2 inches, so I'm going to leave it at that. Just go ahead and hit the enter key, and that's a 2-inch face. So there's our door, there's our side light. Now we want to do the head. So we'll come up here on this top edge. When I get the box, I'm going to hold the left mouse button down. And you see I've got a blue line now because I'm on a different axis. And right there is 2 inches, so I'll go ahead and let go of the mouse and leave it at 2 inches, and then hit the enter key to lock it in. Now over here we need a sill for this side light. So I'm going to click on get down this bottom line. I'm going to drag up, and we're going to make it 4 inches. Right now it's 4 3/4, so we'll type 4 double quotes and then hit enter, and that's our 4-inch sill. So this is a rough end. This is going to be a single light. If I wanted, I could add a mullion in here just by adding some more dimensions. So I could come down to whatever the size of this light would be and create a mullion in the middle here. I could even create another mullion going this way. So however many lights you have, but we're going to just keep it simple so you get the idea of how to use this program. Now, the thing we want to do now is we're going to use go back to our rectangle tool right here. We'll click on that. I'm going to come up here in this corner. Now watch that blue triangle or diamond. It turns to right there. I've got a red X. That's the intersection between those two lines. That's what I want. I'm going to hold the left mouse button down and just drag all the way down. This is the door, so I'm going to come past that sill to the very bottom of my box, to this intersection, and let go. Now I want to do another one. I'm going to come over here at this point, but this one I'm only going to draw down to this part, this section, this intersection rather, and I'll let go. So there's our side light and there's our door. Now we need to remove the white space here. To do that, we're going to come to this push-pull tool again. So I'll click on this. You can see when I move my mouse over, it highlights that whole section I just drew. I'll hold the left mouse button down and just start pushing. And when I get that, you see that this area right here changed, that means I'm all the way back. I'll let go of the mouse, and you see everything's gone. I can see through here now. I'm going to do the same thing with this on the side light. I'll hold the left mouse button down, push, and let go. So there's our side light frame. Now you could leave it at this. You could print this out. Let me just show you you have another tool here called the orbit tool. First thing though, let's move this down a little bit so we can get a better view of it. This is the orbit tool. If I click on that, I can hold my left mouse button down and just get different views of this whole frame. I typically do it a little bit of an offset to give it more of that 3D effect. So we'll leave it for right now. So if I wanted, I could print this out if that's all I wanted to do. You do that by coming over to this display right here, this little icon, clicking on that. And what I can do is I can remove these guides. Those are those dotted lines that we drew. So I can click this, that turns them off. And I can also remove these axis lines right here by clicking that. And now we've got a clean drawing. Now at this point, if I wanted, I'm going to do a little more to this, but I'll show you what we could do if you wanted to end it here. I could come down to download and then PNG, and that will create a PNG drawing image file of this frame. And I can even tell it to do a transparent background, which we'll get to it a little bit later. But we're going to add some more to this to show you how more detailed we can get with this. I'm going to turn it around a little bit more this way and zoom in a little bit more. And what I'm going to do is add some more dimensions. So I'm going to come back to my tape measure. I want to move to this line here. This is a 5 3/4 frame. And I want the blue axis this time, or the green, I'm sorry, I want the green. Now I'm going to create a rabbit, and you can see that dimension was left at 1 13/16. Well, I want it to be 15/16, so I'm going to type 1. Oops, sorry. (15/16) Oh, okay. If something goes wrong, it's easy to fix. We'll come back up here to this undo button right here. So I'm going to undo what I just did, and we'll try this again. So I got the tape measure. Come over here, drag it out. 1, and there we go. So you see now in the bottom right corner, I'm typing dimensions 15/16 inches, because that's the typical rabbit size for an 1 3/4 door. We'll hit enter, and it creates that first line. I'm going to create another one. This stop on this frame, I know on 5 3/4 is going to be 2 1/4 inches. So I'm going to drag this over, get the right dimension. So I'll do 2 space 1/4, and I believe that leaves 1 9/16 for this dimension right here, which we're not going to worry about. The thing is, I wanted to get that. This will be the rabbit of the frame. And I can do the same one over here on this, since this is showing. So we'll go 1 15/16, and again 2 1/4, and that'll be that jam. So let's back out a little bit. Now I'm not going to do one over here because this is the open backside of the frame. We're going to do something a little bit different with that. So at this point, what I want to do is come back to my triangle or rectangle tool, click on that. I can come down to this bottom corner where I get the X at the intersection, hold the left mouse button down and start dragging up to draw a box. I'll drag it over to that line, the second line I created, and I'll let go. You can see right now it's 2 1/4 inches, which is that width of that jam, the stop rather. But we want it to go the full height, so I'm going to go ahead and type 2 space 1 1/4 inches, and then a comma. Now I need the height, which is going to be 7 feet. And I can just do 7 feet, and then hit enter. You can see it drew the box, or the rabbit. But now we need to give it a 3D effect. But first let's go ahead and let's do this one here. Now we're going to start at the top on this one. Get that X right there and draw this box down. So this one's going to be 2 1/4 inches, comma. But instead of 7 feet, we have a 4-inch sill at the bottom. It's going to be 6 feet 8 inches. So I'll do 6 feet 8 inches. Hit enter. And now I've got my second rabbit right here. So let's add some dimension to it. We'll come back to our push-pull tool. I'll move the mouse over as soon as that rabbit changes texture. Hold the left mouse button down and drag. And I want it to be 5/8 inches, so I'm going to type 5/8 inches. Hit enter. There's a 5/8 inch stop. I'll do the same way with this one. Drag it 5/8 inches, and there we have a 5-inch stop. Now I can add stops to the top of it here also, and also to the sill, following the same ideas. Let's move this over a little bit. Get our pan tool around so I could turn it this way. Zoom in a little bit, and I could do the same thing here with the tape measure. Just start, come out. That will be 1 15/16. Oh, I was on the wrong axis, so let's undo that. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, it should be the green axis there, I believe. So I'll do 1 15/16. There we go. So it was a green axis that I needed. Remember those axis lines that I was showing you. Now we need another 2 1/4. And you see I have a green line, so that's right. So I'll type 2 space 1 1/4. And there's that one. Now I'm going to go ahead and draw the rectangle. We'll just click where I get the X. That'll be an intersection, or I could use this one. Doesn't really matter. And I'll draw a rectangle over to that line. And I'll just go ahead and drag it over here. I don't have to type anything in, as long as I meet that intersection. We'll let go. We'll come back to our push-pull tool. pull up 5/8 inches, and there's our other stop. Okay, so let's zoom out. Now, like I said, I could create stops on the head and of the frame also, but just to save time, we already showed you how that's done. I'm going to show you what to do. Since this frame, we need to turn it around. This frame needs to look like it's open, like it's hollow out, like a hollow metal frame. And the way we can do that, we'll turn it around like this, kind of zoom in. We'll create some more dimensions. Come over to the tape measure, drag this out, and I believe that's going to be the green axis again, if I'm not mistaken. But this is going to be only 1/2 inch, because that's going to represent the return of the frame. So that's 1/2 inch. And I'll need to do another one on this side. Yeah, that's it. So it's going to be 1/2 inch. Now we're going to draw our rectangle. There we go, got that. And I'm just going to type this in. You can see now it's 4 3/4 inches, because we have 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. So that's 1 inch from 5 3/4. So that's going to be our throat. So I'm going to go ahead and retype the 4 3/4 inches, comma, and it's going to be the full height of the frame, which is 7 feet 2 inches. Hit enter. Come back to our push-pull tool. When we get the texture, see how it changes? We're going to push, and I'm going to type, it says 1 7/16. I'm going to, remember this is a 2 inch face. You can make it anything close that you want, but I want to say 1 7/8 inches. So now you can see it looks hollowed out. That's our frame. I'm not going to go into a lot of real deep detail, making that go back 7/16 to make that look hollow also. I don't think it's necessary. Let's come back to our orbit tool. We'll turn this around, zoom out a little bit, let's get the move tool, let's move it down some. Now you can see we have, shows our stops, the hollowed out section of the frame, because this is again a 3D type drawing. So you get depth with it. Okay, so I had to pause the video for a second. I wanted to look something up real quick. Typically, like I said, I would add a rabbit up here at the top, just so since it does show. And you would follow the same procedures I did for those. We're not going to spend a bunch of time with that, because I already showed you how it's done. So one thing you can add to this is dimensions. And if you don't see this little icon down here, click on the little three dots, and you can add that tool to your bar over here by clicking on this dimensions tool. You can see there's a whole bunch of other tools in here that, if you want to take the time to learn them, but you would click on that tool, and then once it's clicked, you want to make sure it's selected, and you can actually come in here and, let's say, I'll click on this line right here, and just drag it over. There we go. You can see that we get different axes. We want the red axis. You can see it's at 7 feet. So that'll show our opening dimension right here. And we'll leave that. In the same way over here, if I click on this little guy, well, let's get on the line, drag it over. You see I've got 6 feet 8 inches. So that will show the opening size of my window. Now for the width, I can come over here, we'll drag it down, we show a 3-foot door width, we'll let go, and the same way with over here, we'll drag this down. You can see this is also 3 feet. And you can even show the 2-inch dimensions in here if you really wanted to get into some more detail. But they're a little bit hard to see. You can see there is a 2-inch up there. And we could do the same for the sill if we wanted to show the size of the sill. Oh, that's the wrong way. We need a certain axis here. No, it's not that one. Okay, so I left clicked once there at that intersection. I'll come down here, click again, and there's our 4-inch sill. So that's how you can add dimensions to this drawing that will show up when you save it. All right, so let's say we finished our frame. I mean, you can get into more detail if you wanted. You can draw a frame profile and show dimensions on it if you really want to dive into this program. But we're going to leave it at that for right now. You see, I already turned off the axes. I should have left those on for the time being. But when we're ready to print this thing out, we're going to go ahead and turn off these guides and the axis. And I can come over here to this we're going to go to the download. We'll do PNG. And this is what our drawing will look like. Over here is an option for transparent background. I'm going to click on that. And we're going to export this as a PNG file. Export. It's going to ask me where I want to save the file to. And I'm going to give this a file name of test sidelight. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in this folder I have for SDI drawings. So we'll save it there. All right. Now, if I go over to where that file is located, right here, there's the file. If I double click it to open it up, you can see it's not very good, and I think it's opening up in the default some kind of a paint program in Windows. But you can see it has the Sketchup logo over here. What we can do, I use a program. This is another program that's actually free. It's called GIMP, G-I-M-P. Just go to your search browser, search engine, type in GIMP. And if you want to download that, it's a pretty powerful free drawing program that we can do a little bit more. There might be ways you can do this in SketchUp, but I haven't gotten that far with it. I just used GIMP because it was easier for me. I already had it. So I'll show you real quick what I'll do with that. I'm going to come down to open with. I've already got GIMP installed, so I'll click on that. And there's our frame. So what I can do is I can crop this, meaning I can take my mouse, the cursor is kind of hard to see, but I want to get to a point where I'm above any text or anything I might want to show. I'm going to click once with the mouse and just draw a box around this whole thing. About like that. I'll let it go. And then I'll get right in the middle here. I'll right click with the mouse, come down to image, and I'm going to click on crop to selection. So now that's our image. So now I'm going to, in GIMP I have to come over, you have to do export as to save it. You don't want to use this up here because it saves it as a GIMP type drawing. We're going to do export as, and I'm going to keep the same file name, but I'm going to call it cropped. So that way I've got both drawings. I'll still have the test sidelight, and I'm going to have the test sidelight cropped file also. And let's see, there's just some different options you have. JPEG, there's PNG. So there might be a PDF in here. Well, I haven't. Oh, right there. Oh, so I could save this as a PDF document. So I'll just go ahead and click on that. We'll click export. Export again. And let's go back over to our folder. Let's see what it looks like in PDF. So there's our file. And we saved it as a PDF drawing. You can see the 2-inch dimensions get a little lost up here in all the markings. So I typically leave those off. You can make a note of that if you want, or there might be some way to make the 2 inches a little bit smaller so it fits inside of that those two lines, so you can at least read it. And again, the other option is I could come back over here. We can do File, Export As, and let's go ahead and do, I think if I do by extension, maybe if I can type in my own. So I'll do PNG. I know PNG is in here somewhere, but I'm going to see if this will let me export it also. Okay, let's go over to our file. There it is. So if we double click that, yeah, so this is a PNG file now, which I can also I think we should have a way we can reverse get rid of this dark background, make it easier to see the drawing. So those are some different things you can do with SketchUp. I'm sure some of you will probably really dive into this and do things I never even thought of, and that's great. So you can see it's once you get the basics of this, of doing this in SketchUp, it really gets pretty easy to create any frame that you want, and again with dimensions. So that should pretty well cover it with SketchUp. If there are any questions or concerns, just give us a call, or anything you'd like to see changed or added, just let us know. And thanks again.